Hey everybody, it's Monster Art School Advanced, and today we're going to draw a troll. Hopefully that light won't bother you guys. I just think we need it to see the drawings a little bit better. So, the thing I like about trolls, what's fun about trolls, at least historically, is that they are, obviously they're a myth, but they're Icelandic myth, and one of the cool things is if you go, Norway, Iceland, etc., but if you go up to those countries, especially to Iceland, which I've been to, you'll see the rocks. The reason why they think that trolls turn into rocks or rocks turn into trolls or whatever is because the rocks, the idea is that the trolls, if they're out during the day, they turn into rocks, right? So, the rocks all have these very craggy kind of look to them. And if you look at the photo that I had there, the rocks kind of have faces in them. So what I'm going to try and do today is to try to get the impression of a troll that's still kind of not quite rock yet, but still kind of rocky. And so what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to work my pencil a little differently than I usually would. Because what I want to do is kind of create basic shapes that are kind of chunky and blocky, but yet still have a life to them as opposed to just looking like rocks. So what I kind of want to do is I also want to base the whole drawing around kind of a form. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to base the drawing around kind of a basic shape like this with a form like this. And so the idea is I kind of want to have it, if I have the ground in here, I kind of want a hunched over troll, maybe sitting by the water side. So I'll draw the water in down here when I get there. So now how do I make this look like a troll? Right now we just have these basic shapes. So the idea is I want to first think about where my light source is. So I'm going to put my light here. Now Iceland doesn't have a big strong light source, but I'm going to go with say this is the sun in August when it's full day time of day sun, because they get almost 24 hours of light. And so I'm going to break this down into some basic shapes first. So I've got this sphere here for the head, and then I'm going to try to create these rocky, bumpy shapes, but at the same time being aware of what I want, which is a very human shape or humanoid shape. So I'm going to think about things like where the upper torso is going to be, like there. And then maybe he's hunched over and he's got his knee here and his foot here. And we see his arm here and coming in. And then this other arm maybe like this. So I'm still want to have this outline shape of kind of this trollish yet rocky idea. So we're going to throw some rocks down here on the shore. We'll have the rock come out like this. And if you've ever been to the Pacific Northwest, like the beaches around Seattle or I guess you'll see, it's not Seattle, where was I? I was out on, I guess it was when I went to Portland. We went out towards the ocean from there, and we saw all these rocks that were kind of big, kind of very craggy rocks right off the shore. It's kind of the same thing that they have in Iceland. So now I want his head, I'm going to have his head turned this way. So he's kind of hunched over, leaning this way. We'll have his hand here. His other hand here. And if you can't see it yet, you'll see it soon. But basically the idea is just to break in a few basic shapes. So if his head's going to be facing this way, I'll make it come down like so. And I think trolls have big, craggy noses. So I'll make this his nose here. I don't necessarily love the trolls from the Lord of the Rings movies because I kind of felt like they just didn't, they felt like naked Incredible Hulks or like Badrock from Youngblood. They didn't really have much personality or character to their faces. So I kind of think that trolls should feel pretty rocky and craggy, and their facial features should be really rocky and craggy. So with the light source over here, I'm going to find his temple. I'm going to find his eye socket here and his other eye socket there. And I want to draw in some cheekbones. And again, craggy, right? So he's not going to have necessarily high cheekbones, but they're going to be edged. So I'll give him some crags. And we'll have the nose out here, and we'll kind of create an upper lip under there. And we'll have a craggy chin that comes out like this. And he'll have some, I'm going to say it a lot, craggy teeth like this. So you get this kind of massive sense from all the forms. I want all the forms to feel massive. So nothing should feel straight. Nothing should feel straight lined or edged. And I'm going to go create his ear out there. And what I really want is I want the sense that the head is part of this mass as well. So we're going to... And I like the more mythological feeling ones. And when they're mythological, their heads seem to be really big compared to the rest of their bodies. And maybe that's because, you know, they have to have big mouths to eat all those people. So I'll throw his eyes in here for now. Make him looking off like this. I imagine he's not going to be too happy. Now, the thing is, because they're supposed to be rocky creatures, I'm going to give him, instead of giving him a really big like any kind of hair, what I imagine is the reason why they can hide in rocks is that their hair probably looks like moss. And if you've ever been somewhere like Iceland, the trees and everything, I mean not trees, sorry, they don't have trees. The ground all is covered with a thick, heavy moss. So if I'm going to have any hair on this, it's going to be moss that's hanging down over his eyes and over his ears and kind of hanging around, and probably continue down his back like so. So now I really want to make sure that his eyes really feel sunken in here. So I'm going to accentuate that cheekbone and that cheek. I may even make the eyes even smaller than that, because I like the idea of him being kind of hidden really well. So I'll make his eyes smaller, and I'll put some big craggy lines around his eyes like I'm doing, like he's got bags under his eyes. Make sure I have his upper eyelid here, and make sure the nostril comes out, and get this area of the cheek here. Remember, I'm trying to keep this so it looks like rock, so I'm not going to get too rounded on anything. We'll give him some nice big craggy teeth hanging out over the side like this, just to make him look scary. And I'll put one over here too, just to make him look even more threatening. Because I imagine these were the stuff of nightmares. Like you'd be walking along the beach and you'd see a big rock, and you'd think, oh no, is that a troll? Is that a creature? Or is it just a rock? I can't tell. I better go home. So I'll give him this nice little eyes in there. And what I really want to do is send the idea that this is overlapping up here. I mean, not overlapping, that's really overarching. So there's almost his eye sockets are caves that you could crawl into by mistake. So I'm going to shade him down like so. And the idea is to shade everything in there one level. And then basically, in a way, you're doing a wash of shadow over the whole region. And I'll do that down here under the cheekbone as well. Really make it clear that this is nighttime or just it's dark and threatening. And I'll draw some shade here on the far side of his temple. And we'll get that down here as well. Inside the ear, I'm going to do some shading. And then down here. And I'll let this go to shadow too, just not as much. And I think here, along the line of the nose, if the light source is here, along the line of the nose, I'm going to bring and shade all of this. And light, I always draw straight from the light source, from the center of the light source down, and that's how I know where the light's hitting any object. So if it hits this head, the terminal line's going to be right around here on his head. So I'm going to draw up and around these things. And anytime I break that terminal line, it's just basically implying that this area comes up enough that it catches light. So I'm drawing this dark edge so that you can all tell where the edge between light and shadow is. Maybe this catches a little bit of light on his cheekbone here. His nose is going to cast a pretty big shadow though, down here. And we'll let this ear go into shadow as well. So what we're going to do is we're just going to tone this up, make it feel like it's built out of light and shadow. So his shoulder kind of, I'm going to make it hunch up more over his back like so. And then we're going to give it a value there. And then we're going to say this tooth sticks out and has a shadow, has light on it. And that tooth, and the nose, and the upper part of the cheekbone right there. So what's happening is as I'm doing this, I'm trying to hide him in the shadows. So now we'll go like so. Maybe this tooth catches some light there, but then this would be in shadow behind it. Maybe the top of that one catches a little light too. Now how do I make those decisions? It's just basically going, if this could catch light from that light source. So probably this nose would block it, but it'd be fun to have these teeth have a little bit of prominence there, just because. So and up here, basically anything that's away from that light source, I'm going to do shadows on. And so anytime I do this, I'm basically going to draw away, thinking that basically anything I'm drawing over here is away from the light source. And if I feel the need, I will go in here and do some even darker areas to kind of give these areas a little bit more prominence, to show off his eyes a little bit more. Really get the area inside. By darkening these, it really makes the area inside the eyes look really deep and dark. And so therefore under the nose I should do the same. Because I really want to get that sense that these areas go really dark into his face. So as we draw along here, I'm going to bring this out. And that'll be his shoulder, and I'll bring this up like this. And that'll be that shoulder. And I'll start to draw. I'm going to say that the chin here catches shadow there. And we'll draw along here and here, and I'm going to say that the top of the nose here catches some light. Just coming across and catches a little light. That way I can really sculpt the figure out of the shadows. So now, down here in the chin, I want to kind of give it a little bit more depth, and then shape this into his upper arm muscles. So any opportunity I get to kind of darken something, to push something else out, like up here, I'm going to take, because what I want to do is I'm creating the whole figure out of relief. So I'll let this all go to dark. And now once that goes to dark, I'm going to have to define some other darker areas in there. Like where his head casts a shadow. I'll make it even darker. And I want to define the arm here. Away from the body. And this arm also away from the body. And once I get these basic shadow shapes in, I can go back in and kind of reformulate them into a design, which is what I did up here. So maybe we have some little rocks up here, and maybe that makes it look like he's got some kind of cool rock hair, or at least a pattern of rock on the surface of his skin. We can throw like patches of moss on there. So he's got a pretty bumpy forehead. And we'll break some of these surfaces up with some more. And basically what I'm doing is I'm kind of mimicking human facial features with kind of jagged edges that look like rock. So as I go, these are just kind of like imagining these little bumps on the surface, but they're kind of they're each casting a little shadow. So I'm just going to draw the shadows, not the bumps. So back here, as I draw the shoulders up here, I'm going to consider them as being rocky again too, and jagged. Maybe we'll put a little silhouette of a bird up here, hanging out on top. We'll throw another bird there. Like they got a little nest up here. And then we'll get, so notice what's happening is I'm starting to create these ridges. Almost like water like rain created these ridges in the surface, but those are also his muscles. So like this right here could be the point of the clavicle. This might be his deltoid here, and then we can have one deltoid muscle there, and then we'll do another part of the deltoid, another head of the deltoid there, and then a third back here, just to kind of push that idea that this is still muscle, but we're looking at it through a lens of rock. So I draw along the surface here. Now his knee is here. I think I might put his foot a little bit lower because it feels like it's really compressed a little too much. Or maybe he's kneeling. Actually, let's say he's kneeling, because I think if I try to get his knee and his foot in there, it's going to be too hard. So if he's kneeling, we'll just see the top of his knee. And then I don't have to worry so much about it. How to hide your drawing problems. Now, so his knee will be here. And again, I'm just going to kind of wedge it in because his arm is going to be back here. He has pretty short bicep on this side. Now remember, I'm not looking for natural human proportions because he's a troll. So he's probably going to have some of the same anatomy as a person, because if he's going to have arms and walk upright and all that, we're probably going to have, you know, some similar anatomy, kind of like a gorilla might have. But I don't have to worry about being in the same proportion as humans. So I kind of take the fun of being able to distort the human figure and go crazy with it. Getting jiggy with it. Na 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 na. Okay, I can't believe I just did that. Ugh. So we'll go down here. We'll get more of those rocky things. And we'll keep doing that stuff all around here as well. And we want to imagine, like, you know, there's, like I said, there's moss up here. So we'll use a different style of rendering for the moss. And I'm going to use these little tick marks to show the moss growing. And that way, I'm not confusing one style of rendering with another. And again, I'm just going to draw where the moss creates shadows. So if it's like, and the idea is to create a softer sense than the material of the rock. There we go. Let's get that lip. The under area of the lip here should be dark. And we can pull a little bit out of there just to make it look like he's looking over his shoulder. Just because I like that idea. He's kind of concerning himself with the sun. Maybe the sun's what got him, and he's like angry at it, so he's kind of hunched over. And we'll have this rock kind of come out like so, and we'll draw another rock back there just to make it feel like he's in his element. So we'll have this rocky stuff here and maybe some more moss and stuff. And we'll let this go to shadow, but I think actually I'm going to pull some light across from the back over here to make it feel like all of this is in shadow, but there's light cascading over the form in this direction. So it makes it look a little less like it's just flat. So now I'm going to bring this shadow down. So I think the top of the arm, the hand here is going to catch some light, and so is the forearm. So I'm going to bring this through. And if I want to kind of pretend that he has a chest and all that in here, I'm going to draw this dark, and then I'm going to bring some more darks in here to really darken this area to kind of imply that there's going to be a deeper section underneath. So if I do this in here, it kind of gives the impression that this area here is in front of this area. And I'll bring these rocks a little bit more jagged here. So the idea is that these rocks here that form the deltoids and the bicep, etc., are blocking the areas down here. I'm going to put another ear over here. I think I want this ear to stick out more on this side. And so I'll put one over here to make it a little more obvious, because I feel like we're losing him a little bit in there. There we go. And I'll put some light there to catch the top part of his cheekbone, or the cheek muscles that come right in here. I think this will go a little darker on this side. I hope you're starting to see it now. Now we're still just pretending that light source is there. So I'm not going to draw the light source. I'm going to take the light source out. And I'm going to remove some of these lines up here, because we don't really need them. As long as the definition of the shadow is strong enough, these lines can go away, because otherwise they just look like outlines. And they flatten the form out. And ways to achieve that is to just kind of create the shadows moving up to that edge and then letting it go. Okay, now let's get some of this in here a little darker, a little bit more even, more accurately. I hate it when I'm doing a drawing and this stuff isn't even, because it really detracts from the value of the drawing. Well, not the value, but the value of the tone that you're creating. If you leave these little like white marks in, what happens is they take on a personality and they become objects. So the more you want to clarify, the more you can clarify your drawing by making your marks more clear. Okay, clarify by being clear, but by separating your light from your dark with clarity, you make your drawing easier to see. So now, let's see here. We'll get this shadow in, this shadow in, and we'll let this go to dark back here, and we'll bring his knee, almost like his knee is kind of sinking into the water here. So this will be his knee. Like that. And we'll get a little more surface here. This is going to have to cast a shadow on the upper arm here. There we go, much better. There. Now, I'm going to drag across, get his knee. So this starts to look like its own separate rock here, which I like. And the more you let the thing go down to shadow in here, the more it makes it feel mysterious. So I'm going to try and let some of this stuff just go to shadow. Like, is that a knee? I don't know. Maybe it is. Maybe it's just a rock in the foreground. I don't know. You tell me. So then we'll start to sound like Bob Ross. Oh man, I'm going crazy. Now, a hand is going to be a fun trick. So what I want to do is I still want to get the sense of a hand. So the hand, the main body of the hand is a block. So I'll draw the block here, this area here. Kind of think of it as a block. We'll draw a block here. And then I want his fingers sticking out. So we'll have a finger here. Now I don't want to be super obvious about this. So if I get too obvious, I'm going to lose the drawing, or I'm going to lose the fun. So I'm going to outline these in so that I'm going to try not to make it so obvious. And part of that is I'm going to make these last two fingers kind of fit together like that. And then I can bring create that knuckle. I mean, if you're wondering, I do these all on the fly. So I had no plan as to what I was doing before I got here. So I'm kind of making it up as I go. So if I erase stuff, it's basically because I'm going, I don't know how to do that. So I'm going to say that's his hand. And then I'm going to go leave this here. Now, how do I make that not just look like, oh, that's clearly a hand? So let's go in and get these shadows in. So again, anything that's facing the light, I'm going to leave open and white. Anything that's moving away from the light, I'm going to shade. And anything that's like overlapping, like here, I'll let that get darker. Now I need a break because I need to sharpen my pencil. I'll be right back. One sec. You can hear the sharpener going crazy. Okay, now. So, yeah, I don't want to telegraph this too much. I don't want to give it away. So, how do I make it work? I'm going to think about the knuckle bones here and how they create kind of hard ridges. So I'll have it, I'll make these shapes that kind of go around the knuckle bones. And then rather than drawing the knuckles, and then I'll break up kind of the form here a little bit. And here I can do this. Here I'm basically going to just lighten stuff up in here just to give it a sense of reflected light from the ground up, which will kind of make it feel a little bit more three-dimensional. But I don't want to get too light in there, so it should still be somewhat hit with shadow, but I just want to do that so I remember. And then down here we'll do the same. We'll let this go to dark. And break this up into pieces. Again, you still want to see the hand in there, but you don't want to really see it until you want there to be a little mystery as to what we're seeing. And let's say this is it's Iceland, so we're going to say that the sky is dark with clouds. So we can so how do we make this feel like a little bit more illusionary? Illusionist? Illusory. That's the word I'm looking for. So I want to bring this arm, and we're going to say this arm is down here. So I'll bring this hand under. So this will all go into shadow, except maybe like the tip of the finger here and here. We'll let this all go to shadow here. And what I'm going to say is the ground here, it's going to be on the beach. So the ground here is going to be rocky and so here's going to be the sky continuing on the other far side of it. I'm going to try and catch the same amount of value on this side as on the other side. And so in doing that, what I'm going to do is it's going to define this mountain back here. And I can let this go to dark to define this being much darker than the area around it. Now, let's see. Let's get some rocks here. We'll bring this swooping out like this. And go back in with an eraser later on and kind of pull some of this out, some of the clouds out with something softer. So I can go in with my eraser and kind of just go make this feel a little bit softer like clouds. And I can let this let these just kind of go into each other there. Now on this side, he's going to cast a shadow going this way. So I can leave this dark here. And I'm going to let it go dark like this out. And I'm going to say that the water comes up like so. And so in here we'll see the reflection of the troll. And I think to make this really cool, let's throw here, we'll throw a little guy here and we'll have him climbing. So for that, I'm gonna have to do the back of his head away from the shadow. Maybe I'm not ready to do that just yet. I want to get in there, but I need to have an idea better of what the anatomy I want to do there is. There we go. Whoa, the wind out there is crazy. So going to have him, so his waist is here, we'll have his leg there, and we'll just bring this back, and back there. We'll throw his foot here like he's just climbing up. And I want to break this so he's not just following the form. So we'll have his arm here, and maybe we'll put a crag out that he can put his leg on here. Put a crag there for him. Maybe a crag here for him too. Again, because the light's coming from over there, I want the same light situation on him as on the big giant. So anything underneath here, giant, the troll. Anything underneath here will go into shadow. And I think what I'm going to do with this is, let's say under his arm, a little bit of shadow. And I'll put some folds in here to really kind of push. Let's say he's wearing a big, bulky, kind of Icelandic sweater here. So we'll put this up. Whoa. The wind is nuts. Yeah, it's the apocalypse. Can I tell you? It's not really, but so we'll get some of this in here. We'll see that he's got boots on. Maybe he's got folds in his pants to show the boots a little bit off. So we'll go like that. All right, now. So there he is. He's kind of looking up. I guess what I kind of want is this sense of he just kind of looked up and saw the troll. Maybe I need to have the troll's eyes down, looking at him. So I'll just do this darker like this. Maybe what I want to do in here, maybe the troll is considering, do I need to smush this guy who's climbing on my knee? Or can I just leave him alone? I don't know. So we'll remember, I have to remember these terminal areas here, terminal line between light and shadow. So now, these areas under here, I want to darken them up where he's touching the rock. Kind of make it so that we can tell that he's climbing over it. And the best way to do that is to show where he's touching it. And where he's touching it will be the darkest area, because those are called occlusion shadows. It's where no light can get in. Now, yeah, what's up? Still doing Monster Art School.
We're still doing Monster Art School?
Yeah, I am. See?
Okay, cool.
What do you think?
I like it.
You know what it is?
It's a troll with somebody climbing on it.
Yeah. What do you think is going on in the story in this piece? If this was a story.
With somebody climbing on it?
I know, but what do you think is happening to this guy who's climbing on it?
No.
You think he knows?
No.
Or do you think he just realized it?
I think he just realized it.
Yeah, I think that's the trick. I think he's just going, wait, what? That's what I want to get. Is I want to get this impression that.
Oh. Okay.
So I want him to feel like, oh no, we're about to. What just happened? What did I just discover? So he's just climbing. I think we need to have a separation here. Because while, yeah, he's wearing gloves and a big bulky coat, I want to have the separation for where his glove is from his arm. I like that separation. It kind of gives us a little bit more definition of his hand there. Like so. And again, I'm going to pull these lines out a little bit because I don't want it to feel quite so much like I'm doing outlines. There. Okay. So, sounds like I have to kind of go put out a fire outside with the kids. So we'll see what's happening with that. It'll be fun. But I think that's a pretty good one. At least the beginning of a piece. I think this might be a piece that I'd want to paint. I might make him smaller, make him about half the size in the finish. But, you know, I could leave put some mountain back here. And what's great is you could just kind of suggest the mountain with some eraser, and then put maybe a little bit more beach back here, and then continue the sky out here. So, there you go. Let me get some darker in here. There is our troll for the day. I hope you enjoyed drawing with me. It was a lot of fun. And I'm going to go put out a fire with my children. But, yeah, if you do any drawings, please let me see them. Please put them up so I can see how awesome they are. And remember, I'm going to be posting these on YouTube at Steve Ellis on YouTube, or Steve Ellis Artist on YouTube. So if you want to watch older episodes, or if you just want to like subscribe, it'd be really helpful. And just pay attention to, you know, I'll be here hopefully every day at 3:00 doing more drawing. Have a great day. Thanks for coming to Monster Art School.